So today we're going to learn some of the most useful beginner chords on the guitar. These chords come up in hundreds of songs, but what I've done is made them so easy that anyone can do it because all of these chords use only 2 fingers for you to play. So let's get started and jump into that first chord. Now, the first chord on here, if you've ever learned any other chords on the guitar before, you might go, oh, these are a little bit different. Well, yes, because my rule is only 2 fingers. So some of them might be a bit different to what you've heard before. So let's take a look at these slightly unusual chords. Chord number 1, we're going to take a look at the G chord with only 2 fingers. So the G chord with only 2 fingers, we're going to take our middle finger and put it on string 6, fret 3, and we're going to take our first finger and put that on string 5, fret 2, okay? And it sounds like this. Now, technically, this is called G6, but we're not going to call it that. We're going to call it G because we're going to use it as a beginner chord. Best thing about it is it has 2 fingers, all right? Chord number 2, the C chord with 2 fingers. So for this one, we're going to take our third finger, our ring finger, and put it on string 5, fret number 3. And we're going to take our middle finger and put it on string 4, fret 2. And then we're going to strum just 5 strings. Now, technically, this is a C major 7. But again, we're not going to worry about the name. This is perfect for learning on the beginner as a guitar, and then we can add in the other finger later. Just try and get used to using this unusual hand position because it's better to use these fingers for later on in your playing, which we'll talk about in another video. The next chord is D sus2. This one we've got our first finger on string 3, fret 2, and I've got my third finger on string 2, fret 3, okay? And it sounds like this. I'm strumming 4 strings. The next chord is the E minor chord. For this one, we're going to take our 2 fingers, our index and our middle finger, and we're going to put them on string 5, fret 2, and string 4, fret 2. And then we strum all the strings. Chord number 5 is called A sus2. Or we can just call this an A chord. It can replace any time you have an A chord in a song. Now for this one, we're going to take our first finger and we're going to put it on string 4, fret 2, and our middle finger on string 3, fret 2. So it looks a lot like the E minor chord, except it's on a different pairing of strings. It's 1 string closer to the floor than the E minor was. And we strum 5 strings for this one. And it's a very pretty sounding chord, in my opinion. Chord number 6 is the E7 chord. So E7, using 2 fingers again, your middle finger is going on string 5, fret 2, and your first finger is going on string 3, fret 1. So it looks like this, and it sounds like that. We strum all the strings on this chord. The next chord is called the A minor 7 chord. And for the A minor 7 chord, we're going to put our middle finger on string 4, fret 2, and our first finger on string number 1, fret 2. This chord looks really similar to the E7, but it's 1 string closer to the floor, and we're only going to strum 5 strings now. From string 5 to 1. The very last chord we're going to learn is the D6 chord. And this is another replacement for D. You could use the D sus2 we did before, or this D6. They can both replace the D chord, and they're good practice as a beginner, very good practice. For this one, we're going to take our first finger and put it on string 3, fret 2, and take our middle finger and put that on string 1, fret 2, and then we strum the top 4 chords. Another very pretty sounding chord. So you've got your first 9 chords. Now what do you do with them? The first job you have to do is you have to memorize them for me and be able to move your hands to each of those positions. So you can get a friend at home to quiz you, or you can quiz yourself on these chords. Do you know them? Can you find them by name on the guitar? And short names are okay. So for the C major 7, just call that C for now, and it's good enough that you can find this chord shape. Then you want to be able to move between them. So you take a group of 3 or 4 chords and you put them in an order and you try and change between them, because that's just like what happens in songs. So let's have an example. If I go E minor to G to A to D, and we'll do the D sus2 and it'll be A sus2 for the A. So let's try those 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. E minor, 3, 4 to G, 2, 3, 4 to A sus2, 3, 4 to D, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, A, 4, 2, 3, 4. Cool, so that's just one example. You should come up with a few different examples of your own and try playing along in time with those chord changes. It's a great way to get started on beginner guitar, and these chords come up in hundreds of songs. If you'd like a copy of all the chords on a sheet and also some suggestions of songs to play them with, then in the description below or in the first comment, I'm going to leave a link so that you can go and get these chords off me. See you next time.